Thanks very much for staying with us. You're watching Times Now Live. My name is Amitabh Wadhwa. Let's break the story as far as a super exclusive that we're going to get you for our viewers right here on the channel. Right after the terror attack that was reported in Poonch, where 5 of our brave Jawans were martyred. There are more details of terrorists being deployed along the LOC that is coming in. Around 24 terrorists, mostly from the LET, we are told, who have been deployed to launch attack on India. Now, this is coming as far as the attack in Poonch is concerned. There have been several intel reports that suggest that over 20 terrorists, mostly from the LET, that are trained and armed, are ready at the launch pads at the LOC, waiting to infiltrate into Jammu and Kashmir whenever they find an opportunity. Now, expectedly, the LET, which is the largest terror group, has maximum number, and especially when it comes to the time, as summers are here, this is the time when snow is melting and the terrain becomes less difficult. The wave of terror activity that begins every summer, it is being said that over 20 terrorists are still waiting and trained and armed at the LOC. We have Srinjoy with us right now. Srinjoy, good morning. Now, this is something that we have witnessed as an annual affair, especially when it comes to summers that are here. This becomes all the more important to increase the vigil at the LOC.
Terror training camps and also the launch pads across the line of control or right on the line of control. All these names like Lipa and Bagh and Kharajan, they're all very familiar to us because this is a process that happens every year. It starts in April and May. Perhaps this year it started a little earlier with this attack 2-3 days ago. The important point to note is that these people, particularly the LET and the Jaish-e-Mohammed, are very, very closely followed by the ISI. Just a few weeks ago, there was a Colonel Sultan. Now, that Colonel Sultan is clearly a pseudonym. Colonel Sultan came and met all these terror training camp leaders and told them that we have to push people in. And there are really 2 or 3 reasons for it. One, there is a decision by the Indian government, and rightly too. Why shouldn't it be that there would be a G20 events in Srinagar? And that is precisely what is going to happen, and that will be targeted. Also, the idea for these terrorists is to attack security forces, naturally, and also people from outside Jammu and Kashmir who have come to work there, and thirdly, Kashmiri Pandits. These are the targets that have been given to the terror training camp leaders by the ISI. And there is every effort by the LET, by the Jaish-e-Mohammed to attack these group of people in Jammu and Kashmir. Also, the LET is the largest, as you rightly said, and they are the ones who are spearheading the case. The Jaish-e-Mohammed are perhaps used often, but they are often used for very special projects. So as a result, this is something that is expected. And the Indian Armed Forces and the others, the other security forces, are prepared for it.
But Srinjoy, there were earlier reports suggesting that the security forces are receiving input that Pakistan has also shifted the terror launch pads from their earlier locations. The terror launch pads that were said to be around 4 to 5 kilometers away from the LAC, now they have been shifted around half a kilometer distance from the LOC.
Well, there are 2 kinds of camps. One, of course, is the training camp. They're all inside POK or even Pakistan. But the launch pads, because of the way they have to be, they are always all close to the line of control. Maybe they had been pushed back because of the winter, but because summer has come, usually they are always on the line of control. Like a name like Lipa, it's very familiar to anybody in the security forces because it's an established launch pad. Similarly with Bagh or Kharajan, they are all very familiar to Indian security forces. So they know where the launch pads are, fairly close to the line of control, and that is where people come from.
And what about the intel that has been coming in? Of course, as you had already broken the story just days before, as there were intel inputs of a bigger attack or an ambush that was being planned just before Eid, and that unfortunately happened. That happened in Poonch, and 5 of our bravehearts lost their life, one of them said to be grievously injured. What about the other terror inputs, as you've been talking about, even when it comes to on the sidelines of the G20 programs?
Well, there it is. As I mentioned to you, here are 6 inputs which have come in. They all say that 5 or 6 terrorists in each of these launch pads waiting to come in. We are also hearing of similar plans of grenade attacks. That too is on the anvil. What we are also hearing is that more grenade attacks have been planned. At least one case, as the security forces are concerned, the intel is there that they. And once again, who are targets? Well, the security forces are a target, and perhaps Kashmiri Pandits are a target. But that's only to be expected. Here are people who are across the line of control, who want to come in, who want to create trouble. The security forces are aware of it, and surely they will take the right action and do the needful.
Well, of course, there was a lull. I mean, it's been after quite some time such kind of an attack, and that too at such a level that has been reported in Jammu and Kashmir. And earlier, most of these infiltration bids by terrorists from across the border that have been foiled, but there have been also a couple of successful ones as well. Now, even when it comes to terrorists who are also sending out weapons and narcotics to Jammu and Kashmir, and that is also with the help of drones. Now, even with the use of latest technology, the Indian Army and our forces have tried to successfully to even bust such terror activities that have been taking place, as the Indian Army that has been put on high alert after receiving these inputs. Colonel Thapar is with us here on the broadcast. Sir, good morning to you. How do you understand as far as the recent terror activity that has now gone up in the region with more intel inputs suggesting there could be possible more attacks?
No, you see, with due apologies, I would like to submit that intelligence is of use before the event happens. It is no use of giving intelligence, and generic intelligence is of no use. Specific intelligence has to be given. Generic by meaning that, yes, we know that the Pakistanis are doing the mischief from across the border. There is support coming from there, from within also. And there are dense jungles, there are bad climate and bad weather. We know all this. So there is no point of giving. Yes, intelligence will be worthwhile if they had said that there's likely to be this kind of an activity being done in this area at so-and-so time. This generic information we always get after the event is over. You know, a general alert is being given that they are coming. Yes, they would be. We know it. It's an ongoing war. It is not. It is a state policy of Pakistan to do this kind of a thing. And we know that G20 is coming. What is so great about it? Everybody knows. The military planners know, the diplomats know, everyone knows, the politicians know. So my submission is that intelligence is worthwhile when it comes before time. It is specific, and it can give us the opportunity to produce results for the military. I mean, if they had specifically said that in this particular area, in Bembar Gully, there is likely to be an attack on so-and-so day. That is the intelligence that we require. And then, of course, this generic thing is not on at all, please.
Right, sir.
Every time just telling that they are likely to come, then they have gone back, and we have done this. And these are all generic things. You know, we require very specific and timely intelligence. Timely, before time.
Absolutely,
right.
Sir.
On
Absolutely.
such and such date, you are likely to have something happening in Bembar Gully. That is the kind of specific intelligence that is required.
Right,
I mean,
sir.
we have seen in our own life, we have seen getting this kind of an information ever since 60 years ago, when I used to go for ambushing and all, we were told this kind of a thing. They are come, they have gone, this kind of a thing. So that is my submission, that we must have specific intelligence,
Right.
so that we have got a mammoth intelligence gathering apparatus, and we should get proper
Of course,
intelligence.
sir. Of course, sir. Colonel Thapar, sir, thank you very much for your point of view. Mr. Arison Singh is also with us here, sir. Specific intel inputs is needed, sir, as you heard it from Colonel Thapar himself, especially when it comes to increased activity at the LOC. Now, what was being said with the onset of summers, there are terror launch pads and they are ready to infiltrate across the border, sir.
No, I don't agree with with Colonel Thapar on this issue. I have both worked in the Directorate General of Military Intelligence and also in RANW. And let me tell you, for any intelligence operative or analyst, the problem is that nobody gives you information on a platter. It trickles down. So the challenge before, or the question before, any analyst, before he disseminates information is that, should you not share what is available to you? I mean, whatever is available to you, at least you will alert the minds. It's very important. And once you go into that, that alert stage, then you will look for a specific intelligence.
Right, sir.
And there is, I'm sorry to say, there is something called local intelligence also.
Right. Mr. Singh, I just have to interrupt you, sir. Apologies for that. We just have to move on and get those pictures that are coming in of tribute